Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Tower of God chapter 362, is that it? Yeah, or season 2 chapter 282, 362, 282, yeah that's right. Okay, so either way, this was definitely back to the normal chapter length. I mean, I think we talked the past week or two where the chapters were a little bit shorter than usual, probably because Siu was going through a lot. This was a long chapter. This took me like 20 minutes to read when I was doing the live reaction. And even reading through and taking notes, it took me like an hour going through it and taking notes. Like, that's why this is a day late. Well, that, and by the time I had finished taking notes for everything, it was like 6 something going on 7. And I was like, you know, it's too late for this. I'll just do it tomorrow morning. So, sorry, recording this Wednesday morning. But yeah, it was a long chapter. So starting at the beginning, we have Jock wondering if he should give chase, and the line translation, I brought it up last week, and they actually did change it to Jock now instead of enemy. So it almost made me feel kind of weird, because I was like, okay, maybe it's because that one translator's note thing, and for the whoever the person is, I think their name was Bunny that translated the blog last week that brought it up. Maybe it's because of that. Somebody at Line saw it and were like, okay, we need to translate this differently. Maybe they caught the mistake on their own, but they had been calling him enemy for weeks and weeks, and now all of a sudden they change it to Jock. And the thought entered my mind. I was like, what if on the off chance one of them does watch my videos and I talk shit about the line translation all the time? I'm like, I feel so bad now. I'm like, okay, that's sketchy. But either way, they call him Jock now. They say, he's wondering if he should give chase there. He's contacted by Huang and bows to the observer. So I'm assuming that Huang is the third big breeder, the yellow one, and I thought from what Chung said that the other two were about on the same level, but no, it seems like there's a hierarchy where Chung is way down here, off the camera level. Jock's up here, kind of whatever, and Huang is above Jock. She says that, I don't know, I thought one was male, one was female, so I'm guessing she. So she knows that someone has entered the King's Cradle, whatever that is. Now that could be the hidden floor, and they could just be talking about Rachel. Or it could be the actual place where Zahard is, and they could be talking about somebody completely different, possibly Wagnan, like if Wagnan's already in Zahard's area, possibly because he's a child of Zahard in some sort of way. Or it could be Joaquin, maybe. We haven't seen what happened to him either. If Joaquin's even here, again, I'm not sure if he counts as a regular or a ranker or what he counts as. Then Huang says to send the sworn enemies after them and not to do anything drastic until Zahard orders them to, because them messing this up would make things even worse. And she also says their top priorities are just to protect it and to hide Zahard's location. So they can let Bomb's group do whatever as long as they protect it and hide Zahard's location. Going after them could backfire on them. But Jock doesn't seem happy with that. Maybe he does want to go straight after them, take a more aggressive approach. Not sure, but we do see him clenching his fist while he's saying, okay, everything is understood. So it seems as though he's not quite happy with that resolution. We cut over to Bomb's group, and Rachel hears Agro Agnes and Yuan Sung discussing Edwan. Khun said when he was back there for a second he felt a chill, which is sort of our foreshadowing for his sworn enemy showing up. But I'm going to have to call him Agro Agnes because we have so many characters from the Khun family going on right now that it'll be confusing if I just call him Khun all the time. I mean, I don't think it'll be totally confusing, but I'm going to just go for Agro Agnes or AA for right now. So we go to Team Boro, and they skipped ahead who knows how far to the Palace of Spears, which is where Edwan lives, and I'm kind of disappointed they skipped ahead, but it's whatever. And Boro beat his sworn enemy off screen too, which again, and they said that was the most difficult part of their journey. We missed the most difficult part. We missed Boro fighting his sworn enemy and defeating it, so I don't know. Kind of disappointed about that, I guess. Then we have Tiny Child Maschenny, which is the cutest thing ever. I was still just so taken aback and so happy rereading it. Just tiny child Maschenny is the funniest thing ever, because we know Maschenny is this big time badass princess, and now we just have tiny Maschenny. Marco is completely whipped by tiny Maschenny and afraid of her because of her outside self, and little Maschenny doesn't really seem that like mean or arrogant or anything. She seems pretty normal, and so she's like, it almost seems like she's getting kind of embarrassed from Marco constantly bowing to her and being afraid of her and stuff because of her outside self. And we find out that of course she's tiny because she went through the train at a young age. Edwan got impatient though and got all fired up, so he's just running around doing whatever, all fired up. And he says, I'm glad you're here. I'm waiting for you, son of V. So he knows that the son of V is here. I mean, he doesn't really know Bomb, obviously, but he knew V had a son, despite this being the version of him from when he completed the train. So I'm not sure how the timeline works out there exactly, but I'm sure there'll be some explanation to that. Then Bomb's group is at least stage 8. Well, they're on stage 7. I was going to say stage 8-ish because they were finishing it, but they're still on stage 7 right now, so we skipped a bunch with them too. Not as disappointed by that, I guess, just because we got to see a good amount of them, and it felt more natural with them. Not to say it felt terribly unnatural to skip forward with Boro's group, but I just would have liked to see more development with them. So either way, Bomb's group is at stage 7. The girls and guys have split into 2 groups. An observer shows up, calls Khun brother. He recognizes the voice. She says she's his sworn enemy, and they have Misang and a strange compulsion to kill. So then Agnes goes alone and leaves the lighthouse with the others as they go to look for the exit, which is another thing that doesn't quite make sense, because we've seen from multiple stages there is no real exit. All you do is you complete the mission, which they did by defeating the Minotaur, I guess, and then you open up the scroll and say, next stage now, please. So why would they have to look for an exit? Shouldn't Bomb just open up the scroll and be like, alright, time to go? So there is that. But either way, that small little plot hole kind of deal aside, just a small discrepancy aside, we meet Kisaya, who is essentially a female Agnes. She looks very similar to him, except female and maybe a little older, maybe. But yeah, girl AA. She's kind of hot, but she says that their sister died because of him, and I'm assuming that she's talking about their real sister. Well, their full sister, because we know from the backstory that Khun had a full sister and a half sister that was Maria, and he helped Maria rather than his full sister become princess, and that's how he got disgraced and they started hating him and whatnot. So when he disgraced himself, she says that he caused their sister to die, so maybe she killed herself from the disgrace of losing to Maria or something, and maybe Kisaya is another full sister. Maybe. So yeah, but she says that her outside self resented Agnes, but this sworn enemy version of herself wants to kill him. She has this compulsion to kill him, which, as we know, is something that happens. Like, Bomb's sworn enemy didn't talk at all, but we see that with sworn enemies, like with Andras's, is he was like, anytime a part of me has a compulsion to kill, I'll just destroy that part of me. But she doesn't have the separate parts or whatever, so she just has this compulsion to kill stuff, because she's a sworn enemy. And then she completely wrecks Agnes in a knife fight. And that's where we're left, and like, that's pretty serious. She, like, there's a lot of blood, and she definitely cut deep into his chest and abdomen area. So that's pretty severe. I'm actually not quite sure how he's gonna get out of this one. But for the blog, Siu says that Kisaya seems to be more skillful with a knife than Agnes. Would seem so. Also, one thing they mentioned during the chapter is Khun was like again or something like that. So I guess maybe they fought in real life or at least sparred or something when they were younger. But either way, Siu says he wants to go into every bit of the Khun family and their story eventually, but he can't really do that all at once, so he's going to tell bits of it every now and then. He says the Hidden Floor's focus obviously is going to be on the past and what happened with different characters in the past. And he brings up that the physical edition might be coming next year. We know that there's one coming eventually, but he's saying maybe next year. So yeah, I thought it was a good, long chapter. Lots of content. I love the art and the story. I do dislike that we skipped so much, but it is what it is, I guess. Adorable. Just the tiny little Maschenny makes my day. I think that's great. And Kisei's pretty hot and pretty cool. Like, pretty hot, pretty cool. But like, I don't know. Maybe she could. I don't know. Because I'm like there's no way I can think of logically for her to just turn good, or for us to meet the outside version of her and her to be a good guy. But I would like to see more of her. But I can't think of any way to see more of her not as a villain or whatever. But then again, I guess I shouldn't get too hyped up about characters, because I do that every arc and then they don't do anything. I got hyped last arc. Well, Floor of Death maybe is kind of an exception. Floor of Death, I got all hyped up for the, what was it? What is it? I got all hyped up for Helljoe's henchmen, and they didn't do shit for the most part. There was a little bit in there that they did. Like the one Sanchez or whatever fighting Yuri for a good chunk of the arc, but like I got hyped up for them. They didn't do much of anything. Even before that, I got hyped up for the 10 bosses, and most of them either got wrecked like scrubs, or I don't even know if we saw half of them. So yeah, I guess maybe don't get too hyped up about these side characters like sworn enemies or something, because they'll either get destroyed like scrubs, or we just won't even see them. I guess, well, yeah, I guess like what happened with Boros. So, yeah, either way, it is what it is. There are some concepts and characters that I wish Siu would go into and develop more. I kind of wish he wouldn't have skipped as much. But overall, just talking about the chapter itself, it was super, super good. So I'd give it like 8.5. Yeah, 8.5 Khun family members out of 10. There were a lot. Like this arc, we now, in addition to Agro Agnes, who we've already had, and all the siblings on the outside that we've seen that are not currently in the that aren't currently in the Hidden Floor arc, we have now got Marco, Mini-Maschenny, and Edwan, of course, and what is it? Kiseiya, all thrown on top of that. So we have just a ton of Khun family characters going on in the story. But yeah, that's it. 8.5. Like if you did like the video. Comment down there to tell me what you thought of this week's chapter, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more. Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server, just ask and I'll give you one. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.